Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show today. I'm glad everybody could join us. Today, we're going to be going over business bank account hacks. I'm going to teach you basically everything you need to know about your business bank account. Now, this will not take us an hour. A lot of my shows are an hour long, and I've had requests to put some information out there that's not as long. And this is one of these topics that it only takes you about 30-40 minutes for us to really dive into the meat of what's important with a business bank account, what you should know, your bank credit score, those type of things. So I'm going to teach you the hacks. I'm going to teach you inside information and things you need to know to be able to maximize your bank credit score. A lot of you don't even know you have one. You do. We're going to dive into that. And also teach you all aspects of setting up and managing a business bank account. And again, like all of our topics, I'm going over this topic because this is what I get a lot of questions about. On my YouTube channel, even as a result of our podcast, I get a lot of questions relating to big business bank accounts, where to set them up, how to set them up. And today we're going to really decode this. We're going to open this up so you'll learn everything you need to know about business bank accounts. Before we dive in, let me again introduce myself. My name is Ty Crandall. I'm actually the CEO here at CreditSuite. And what we do is a couple different things. First, we help entrepreneurs get money and credit to start, build, and grow their business. And we also help anybody that's interested offer business credit and financing as a service. So if we can ever help you there, let me know. And we also have a really cool free guide I put together for you too. If you're interested in business credit building, all you have to do is text EIN to the number 855-982-1820, and you'll be able to get a really cool free guide about business credit building. So again, that's if you text EIN to 855-982-1820, you'll actually get a free cool guide that'll walk you through the steps of building business credit. We're not going to be doing any kind of sales pitch or anything today. This is just going to be solid information. So there's the information if you want to get in touch with us. You can email us info@creditsuite.com, and we'll gladly answer your emails, answer any questions that you have. We do answer all questions that you propose to us. So if you have any questions we can help with on this content or anything related to business credit financing, please just reach out to us and let us know. So let's dive in. First of all, the one thing you need to know is it's essential. It's absolutely vital that a business owner separate their personal and business banking. It's critical in running any kind of successful business. And I saw this the other day where one of our clients had called us and said, I have a customer that wants to get cash flow financing, and he would have qualified. But the problem was, for some really weird reason, he was still using his personal bank account to manage all of his business funds, not his business. And that immediately eliminated any possibility of him getting financing. It's pretty sad. Just because he was using a personal bank account versus his business bank account, he would have been denied if he would have applied for this financing, and he would have easily been able to get approved if he would have used his business bank account. So it's really critical in running any kind of successful business that you separate the two between personal and business bank accounts. And one of the major financial tools that's really used to accomplish this is the business bank account itself. So when you really want to separate, anything to do with your personal and your business liability, for one, you definitely want to use a business bank account. There's so many reasons that you're going to want to do this. So a business bank account helps maintain accurate records, prepare reports, make deposits, withdraw, wire transfers, issues check, and much more. I mean, look, a business bank account, you can do more than you can a personal bank account. You have more options, you have more flexibility, not to mention all the tax benefits and just the clear and obvious benefits of separating your business and personal bank accounts. And with a business bank account, you also lessen your tax headaches and liabilities by keeping your business revenue expenses separate from your personal. This is very important. The last thing that you'd ever want to have happen is, let's say you get audited by the IRS, which is bad in itself on the personal side. And then all of a sudden they see that you've got all of your business money running through your personal account. That could be really problematic. So you don't want that to ever happen. I mean, you need to make sure that you lessen your tax headaches, your liabilities, and this can only happen if you have a business bank account, because that's what really creates the liability. That's what puts the liability on the entity that you use to open the business bank account versus you personally. And in the business credit world, we're very, very big on this because a lot of entrepreneurs don't know this. They think that you have to use a personal guarantee, that you have to use your personal social when you're applying for money and credit. But that's not always the case. Your business can build its own credit profile. Your business bank account separates the liability. There's a lot of things you could do in business to separate it so you're not personally liable for what's going on in the business, and a business bank account is just one of the ways that you can make this happen. You can also easily delegate responsibilities such as making deposits, because it's really easy on bank accounts that are for businesses to assign users. So for example, in one of our management meetings today, we were just having the same discussion, that we want one of our bookkeeper groups to have access to send ACH but not have admin rights to our account. Well, that's easy to do on a business bank account. We set them up as a user, and we can really decide what permissions we want to give them based on that. You just don't have all that kind of flexibility on personal accounts because they're not intended to be used for business purposes. But business bank accounts, you have a lot of this kind of flexibility, and you can easily delegate responsibilities, add different user permissions on there to have people have the ability to access the account for reasons you want them to, but still keep you protected for reasons you don't want them to. You can also accept debit and credit cards with a business bank account. When you have this available, then you can actually accept credit card payments. So that makes it really easy for you to accept more types of payments and get more sales. Look, I don't know about you, but me personally, I will not even do business with establishments that don't accept credit cards anymore. It's frustrating to me because I have to go spend money to get money out of the ATM or go through the inconvenience of going to my bank to get the money to pay them. I don't carry a lot of cash on me, okay? And some people do, some people don't. I have a tendency to figure out the more cash I carry with me, the more it's my wife removes that money. So I just don't carry any cash. And I use it too. The more cash I have, the more I tend to spend. So I don't carry a lot of cash. And I don't like to go to establishments that make me pay in cash, because then I have the added inconvenience of going out to actually get the money to pay them. Nowadays you can do anything. I was at the beach yesterday with my family, and the people running the hot dog hamburger car have something they plug right into their phone where they can scan a credit card and accept the payment. It's easy nowadays to accept payments. Even if you have bad credit, even if you have no merchant processing history, you can now easily get merchant accounts through Square, through PayPal set up. But here's the problem. Your funds have to have a place to go. You can't have a merchant account with them not be able to deposit the funds into your bank account, because what happens is they basically will get the funds that are coming and they will put them in your bank account for you. But if you have nowhere to deposit funds, well, then you're done. You have to have a business bank account, or you can't have a merchant account. They won't have anywhere to deposit it. And they're not going to deposit it into a personal account. So this is one of the best reasons you really should have a business bank account, because when you have a business bank account, this is what then gives you the ability to accept credit cards, have them put credit card payments into your account, and undeniably, no question, you're going to do more business, especially in an age where so much business is done online, if you have a business bank account set up where you can easily accept credit cards and debit cards. And if you can accept debit cards and credit cards, it just gives people a much easier ability to pay you for your products and services. So plus, business bank accounts have more lenient fees, such as fees being waived when you use online banking. These are the type of things that you might not see on the consumer side. Your business bank account relationship can also help you secure loans. So, keep in mind, first of all, the fees are more lenient. Again, it's just more flexible with business bank accounts. And on top of that, you also building a separate and different relationship with your bank. Just the other day, I got a call from our banker that advised us to open up a couple separate accounts and do a couple other things relating to limiting our liability. Well, again, it was funny conversation because I said, look, my job is to make the money. Your job is to tell me best use. So I appreciate this conversation. Well, that's only because we have a business bank account. We have money going through there. So as a result of that, we have the special relationship with our banker where if we need something, we just basically walk in and get whatever it is that we need. We call them and get whatever we need. They're looking out for our best interests, monitoring our accounts, letting us know. Not to mention that in these kind of relationships make it easier for us to set up merchant accounts with them, loans if we want to, because we have people that are willing to fight for our behalf. So it's much different for me walking walking into Chase and going, I want to apply for a loan, when I'm walking in to Chase and talking to my personal banker, well, then they're more inclined to fight for us and make it easier for us and give us insider information to help us qualify and get approved for loans. So for long-term success, this is really very, very essential. So one of the other things that you need to know, one of the hacks of a business bank account is you need to know that you've got to set this account up very early in your business. And this was one of the questions I got on my YouTube channel. When do I set up my business bank account? Immediately. It should be one of the absolute first things you do when you set up your business bank account. As a matter of fact, I'll give you, or when you set up your business, I'll give you the actual order that you should follow. Set up your entity first, your LLC, your corporation. You need to be a legitimate business if you want to do business. Otherwise, there's all kinds of repercussions you could face. Next, you get your EIN number from the IRS. Get it for free. Never pay for it. You go to Google, you type in free EIN number, and you only use an irs.gov email address URL that will then get you a free EIN number. Next, you use the corporation papers or your entity papers and your EIN to set up your business bank account. So in reality, this should be the third thing that you do. You set up your entity first. You get your EIN for the entity second. You walk into your bank with those documents third and set up your business bank account. It's absolutely essential that you do it this way. Okay. And one of the reasons it's essential is because a lot of lenders and credit issuers now see your bank account setup date as the date your company really opened. Its start date. So if you opened a company 2 years ago, but you're just now getting around to opening the business bank account, well, that's really sad because you could have had all this longevity for the company, but now anybody that looks into it and sees that you just set up your bank account today is going to know your business hasn't been operating for a couple years, and you're immediately going to lose all that longevity you could have had. So again, one of the first things you do when you set up your business is to set up this business bank account. Now, they used to look at the entity inception date, but again, nowadays what happens is there's just so many fake companies being set up. These are called shelf corporations. So what happens is all these people were coming out and they wanted to get all this money and make lenders and credit issuers believe their company had been set up years and years and years. So they buy entities that are set up for years and years and years and use those to start establishing credit. So the problem is that credit issuers and lenders, they're pretty smart. When you're dealing with Chase and Bank of America and all of these sources, they have billions, trillions of dollars available to them. So they research this stuff and figure it out pretty quick. And so nowadays they say, well, hey, this is an easy fix. Instead of us looking at when the company opened, let's look at when the bank account opened and use that as the start date. And it really does make sense. Any legitimate business is going to have a business bank account. So again, if you're doing business and accepting money, one of the first things you're usually going to do is set up your business bank account. So by looking at that date as the inception date of the company makes a ton of sense. So as a result of this now, if you delay setting up your business bank account, again, you lose that longevity because so many of these lenders and credit issuers look at the start date of the bank account as the date you really started doing business, not your actual entity inception date. Now, it's easy to set up a business bank account even if you've defaulted. And I do not know why my slides have these large spaces after apostrophes. I'm not sure, but anyways, we will get past it. So even if you've defaulted on personal bank accounts before or in ChexSystems, you can still get a business bank account. This question actually gets asked to me a lot of times indirectly. Nobody says, I'm in ChexSystems, what do I do? People say, well, can they come after me personally? Or, I've got some people that I owe, and could this create a problem? Well, one of the beautiful things about business bank accounts is that you can set up a business bank account even if you've defaulted on a personal account, even if you are in a system called ChexSystems, which identifies that you've defaulted on a bank account and makes it hard for you to open up another account if you have, you can still open up a bank account for your entity with no problem. You're not going to have any issues if you open up up a business bank account and you've been in ChexSystems. The same as if you owe money to people like the IRS on the personal basis. So if you have not filed taxes, if the IRS is coming after you personally, they cannot touch funds in your business bank account. Now, many people are very familiar with the fact that they can personally. If you owe the IRS money on the personal side and they see that you have money in your personal bank account, there's a good chance they're going to come and try to garnish the funds that are in your personal bank account. I've known people that this happens, and it wasn't even the IRS. It was the bank that they had a credit card with. So, for example, they had a credit card, they defaulted on the personal credit card, and when they had a bunch of money in their personal bank account, the credit card company, which was the same one, it was Bank of America, took all the money from their account. They said, it's gone. Here was the problem. As many of us know, we write checks against the money that's in our account. So inevitably, they basically were taking money that wasn't even there. And the result was the personal bank account went negative by thousands of dollars because Bank of America credit card took the money out of the bank account to cover the debt to them. Now, inevitably, the same result happened because they just let the business, they're like, hey, why do this, right? Should I even open up another personal bank account? Do you still owe the money? Yes. Well, then if you continue to use this account, they're going to continue to take whatever money you have in there when there's enough money to take. So they really were left with no option but to shut down the account. Well, they couldn't do this on the business side. If you went to Bank of America and opened up a business bank account for your entity and you defaulted on a Bank of America personal credit card, they could not come after your business funds because you owe money on the personal side. So this is across the board. ChexSystems, the IRS, liens that you have, collectors that you have, nobody on the personal side can touch your business bank account if you have the account under an entity name. So let's talk about getting a business bank account. We talked about a lot of reasons on why you should have one, why you want to, and other things that might be in the back of your mind of, well, hey, are they going to come after me? Can they take money out of my account if I owe money on the person? We've talked about all those things. Another thing I should talk about here that I haven't mentioned is that your personal credit is not a factor here. They're not going to look at your personal credit and deny you for a business bank account based on personal credit. I saw a comment on somebody else's YouTube channel the other day where somebody had that belief, and that's not an accurate belief. Okay, if you have personal credit issues, you can still open up a business bank account with no issue. And again, this is hard for people to believe, but it's the exact same reason that business credit itself works, because your business has its own life. Okay, you have to look at this. Your business, you have to look at and treat your business like a living, breathing thing. Okay, as a matter of fact, your business could even be sued for human rights violations. So you have to look at your business almost like you would look at a person. You personally have a social security number to build credit. Your business has an EIN number to build credit. You personally have personal bank accounts. Your business has its own bank accounts. You personally have your own liability. Your business has its own liability. These things are really designed fundamentally to be separate things. So if you have personal credit issues, it's not going to impact your ability to get a business bank account. I don't have that on the slide, but I want to throw that in. So when you set up a new bank account, you're going to be asked for several items. You're going to be asked for your entity papers, such as articles of incorporation if you're a corporation. If you're a LLC, a sole prop, whatever documents that you got from the state when you filed your entity are going to be required. You're also going to need completion of their application. In a lot of cases, they will fill out the application for you. They just simply ask you questions, you answer. You'll need proof of your EIN. Remember, I told you there's two things you should do before you set up a business bank account: set up your entity, get your EIN. This is why, because they're going to need the entity papers. They're going to require the EIN to even set up your account. Okay, just like you personally have a bank account linked to your social, on the business side, this account's going to be linked to your EIN, and this is what makes it where they can't come after you personally. This is what's important. You're setting up the bank account to your EIN. What does that mean? It means, well, if you have an EIN that has liens linked to it, if you owe a bunch of collectors money per your EIN, well, then you got to think about how doing something a little bit different, because everything here is going to be linked to your EIN. So anything you have linked to your personal, credit, your social, your personal bank accounts, your personal credit. None of that stuff matters, but everything that's linked to your EIN will matter. They're requiring your EIN when you apply. And notice, I'm not mentioning your social because you don't need your social in almost all cases to apply for a business bank account. You're also going to need your ID, such as a driver's license. And that's about it. Beyond the fact that you're going to need the initial deposit to put into your business bank account. So how much money is that? It depends on the bank. 25 to 200 bucks. You can call them and ask them. You could look online. How much does it cost to open up a Chase bank account? It's like 200 bucks. How much does it all cost to open up this kind of bank account? It's like 25 bucks. So it really varies. You could look online to find one of the cheapest sources to open it up. And a lot of these don't require that you maintain really high balances either. Okay, things you need to know. You must set up your bank account the right way to ensure it's easy for you to get credit and loans in the future. Your company name needs to match your entity paperwork. This is very important. So when you go into that bank, if your company name is ABC Corporation, doing business as CBA Corporation, you need to include the DBA. Everything on your corporate paperwork or your entity paperwork needs to match exactly what's on your business bank account. This is looked at heavily when you apply for financing. Your company address also needs to be the same. So somebody asked me the other day, Ty, should I use my home address to set all this stuff up, or should I use an address from a place like Regis or a virtual address? And they were talking to Nevada corporate headquarters or whatever, and they had said, hey, use your personal. Well, that's really problematic, because one of the number one reasons we see people denied business credit is because they use their personal address when applying. The lender and credit issuers easily know it's a personal address. They quickly see you as unestablished. You have all kinds of problems. So you really should have an address you're using for your bank account, your entity. Even if you set it up as a virtual address, even initially if you set it up as a UPS address, that's fine, but don't use your personal address. Now keep in mind, UPS addresses are even problematic in building business credit. But the bottom line is, you're better off to have your business bank account be linked to an address that's actually associated with your business than your home. That's important. It's going to play a part down the road when you go to get business loans and business credit. And it becomes an issue if you have different addresses on all of this stuff, including your entity paperwork and your bank account. And make sure your EIN number is also the same on your bank account as it is on the EIN paperwork. You should still look at this. Even though they're the one plugging it in, when you leave the bank, you should verify that your EIN number is correct. I, for one, have had a horrible experience with this. I wrote the EIN number down for the wrong company once. I wrote one company when it was supposed to be for another company I owned, and then I kept looking at that one document whenever I needed the EIN. So I filled out, 20 documents with the wrong EIN number. So you don't want to make those mistakes. Always double check. It only takes one time to double check to make sure the EIN number is the same on your bank account as it is on your actual EIN paperwork. So it'll take about 30 minutes to set up the bank account. Most banks will require you to go into the bank to get your new account set up. Most won't do it over the phone. I don't like to go into the bank. As a matter of fact, my banker called me a week ago. I needed to fill out some paperwork. I went in there Friday. She wasn't in there. I have no idea when I'll make it back in there to sign paperwork. I don't like to go in if I don't have to. Okay, even when I'm right around the bank all the time. So I've learned, though, that you have to go in. They won't set these things up over the phone in almost any case, so that expect to have to go in and spend the 30 minutes. And when you leave, they'll give you a folder with documents that outline the terms on your business bank account, info to set up online banking. They might even set up your online banking right there in the bank. Nowadays, a lot of these have mobile apps. They have mobile, and like I can access my bank account from text, and I text BAL for balance, and they text me how much is in the account. There's all kinds of cool features, but you're going to get a folder with all of that information that you're going to want to actually keep safe. You'll also leave a temporary checks for the account, so a little book of 10 or 20 checks that you can use for the actual account. Now, speaking of checks, every bank has a service they'll recommend for you to get checks, because you're going to need checks, right? You have a checking account, you're going to need to write checks. So they're going to give you a service to actually get checks from. Now, when on your first order, they might try to charge you like a bunch of money. You got to be careful, because you won't need all that they package in with your checks. So what happens is, the first time you basically set up a bank account, okay, they're going to give you like a starter kit. is what they call it. It's got your binder, it's got a deposit bag, it's got a company stamp to stamp your checks and endorse them. It's got this stuff that, look, I've had, I don't know how many business bank accounts. I've never needed any of this stuff before, ever, beside the binder. And I'm not saying you won't need a deposit bag or these other things. Maybe you will, but look, you don't need all the stuff from them. You can order most of it online cheaper anyways. Okay, you could usually, they might charge you $100 for this kit, and you could buy the same kit online for like $12. You don't need to buy it from the bank. So be very careful, because on that first order, they might not even ask you the question on if you want it. They just tack it on. So like what happens is I'm like, I need to order checks. They're like, okay, what color, what do you want on the checks? I tell them, they're like, okay, it's going to be $250. And I'm like, you're freaking crazy. I'm not spending $250 for checks. First of all, how many checks are you giving me? And they're like, we're giving you 1,000. I don't want 1,000. Start me with 250. What's the minimum order you got? 250. Give me that. What else you got packaged in here? Well, I've got this starter kit with stop. Remove the starter kit. How much is it now? It's $70. Amazing. The first act I took as a business owner just saved me $80. So listen, do not take the starter kit. You don't really need it. You can order the stuff online much cheaper. The binder is something you're going to probably want for business checks because they come in a way that you need a binder, but you can order those binders for dollars online versus what they'll do. So get the minimum amount of checks. Don't buy their starter kit with all this crap you don't need. If you want any of that extra stuff they try to sell you on, go look at it online. You're going to save yourself 30 to 70% from what the bank will actually charge you. Now, here's a pretty cool link I found for free checking. So if you want free checking accounts, NerdWallet had a pretty good article, and it's www.nerdwallet.com/blog/banking/find free business checking account with a dash in between those words. Find free business checking account. This is a pretty cool article I found that gives you a list of every state and basically the cheapest bank accounts. The bank accounts that either have little to no startup fee or little to no monthly fees involved. So I found this worthwhile. You could also just type in, free business checking account to Google and look and probably find this article that way, or otherwise go to what I just told you there, nerdwallet.com/blog/banking/find free business checking account, find free business checking account with a dash in between those words. Pretty cool link that will give you access to a lot of free checking online and offline. So whether a business owner decides to open a bank account at a national, regional, or local bank, credit union, or community bank, they should select a bank that can best cater to the needs of your actual business. And no matter what bank you choose, even though there's a lot of types out there, one thing you need to know about is that you have bank credit with them. Okay, bank credit is a credit score that the bank has to rate you. Most business owners don't know this, so let me teach you something very valuable. When you open a business, you now have 3 credit reports. Okay, you have your personal consumer credit report linked to your social that you're probably very familiar with. You have your bank credit report, which you'll never see, and the bank will never tell you what your score is, but they know about it. And then you have your business credit report, which is a credit report just like your personal report, except it's credit that's linked to your EIN. It's not listing any credit that's linked to your social. It's only linked to your business credit for your EIN. 3 credit reports. Now, why this is important is SBA says right on their website, if you ever want to get approved for money, then what you need to do is you need to make sure that you have good in all 3 areas, your bank credit, your business credit, and your consumer credit. So it is going to be important to you. Now, bank credit is the total amount of borrowing capacity a business can obtain from the banking system. This is not the same as business credit, which is a much broader category of lenders such as suppliers, credit card issuers, and leasing companies. So the only ones involved in bank credit are banks. That's it. With business credit, your business credit reports credit card, suppliers, regular suppliers, leasing companies, all these people will report on your business credit report, but on your bank report, only banks use it, only banks see it. So a business can secure more business credit quickly as long as it has a minimum of one bank reference and an average daily account balance of at least 10,000 for the last 3 months. So that's what your bank rating is actually based on. What kind of balance you have in your account for the last 3 months. This yields a bank rating of a low 5, meaning that you have about 5,000 to 30,000 of available daily balance. ADB means available daily balance. So that means you have about 5 to 30 grand in your bank account is what that bank rating means. And don't worry, I'm going to break these down for you in a minute. A lower rating says say a high 4 or a balance of 7,000 to 10,000 won't put a stop to your application, but it will slow down the approval process. So that means if you have a really low balance in your business bank account, your business banking rating is going to be low. And the more money you get in there, the higher the rating is actually going to be. So the rating is the average minimum balance maintained in the bank account over the last 3 months. So this is great news. Even if your bank rating sucks now, okay, then, and I'm like really cursing today. I'm saying the words like sucks and crap, so hopefully I'm not upsetting anybody. So if your really business bank account balance sucks now, don't worry. As your business grows and you get ready to apply for a loan, then you really want to focus the 3 months before on getting your balance as high as possible to get this up there. So here you go. I'm going to break these down for you. And also, I'm going to apologize in advance. I thought I could get this done in 30 minutes. It ain't going to happen. This is probably going to be about a 40 to 45 minute. Stick with me. I'm not used to doing shorter of these versions and getting across everything that I think is valuable for you. So here you go. A $10,000 balance will give you a low 5. A $5,000 rates you at a mid 4. $999, for example, under $1,000 rates you at a high 3, and so on. So what happens here is if you want to get the best chance to get a bank loan, you need a low 5, which means you need to have about 10 grand average daily balance for 90 days in your bank account to have a high bank rating. When you get into 4s, your chances of getting bank loans are pretty much squashed. So that means if you have less than 10 grand in your bank account on an average daily balance, then your chance of getting in there and getting an SBA loan is pretty much non-existent. Even if you have a great business, even if you have great business credit, personal credit, everything, tax returns, P&Ls, you're probably still going to get denied because your bank rating isn't good enough. It's got to be in the 5s. To get into the low 5, you've got to have about 10 grand balance. Now, first of all, let me tell you, don't freak out. This is for an SBA loan that you're not even going to get for 2, 3, 4 years after you open your business anyways. For business credit, this doesn't even matter. This won't matter when you're applying for business credit cards. This, like Visa, even for 5, 10, 20 grand, won't matter. But it would matter if you're applying for a $100,000 SBA loan, for example. The main goal should be to maintain a low 5 or 10 grand for at least 3 months. Unfortunately, without this, as I said, you have little to no chance of getting a really bank loan. So here you go. Here's a better breakdown of the system right there. There you go. Piece of cake. High 5. Which means the best bank rating you can get. You have 70,000 to 100,000 average daily balance in your bank account. Mid 5, 40 to 70 grand average daily balance in your bank account. Low 5, 10 to 39 grand. Remember what I said. If you're in the 5s, you could still get a business bank loan, if your other things check out. If you drop below 5, it starts to get problematic. High 4, 7 to 10 grand basically. Mid 4, 4 to 7 grand. Low 4, 1,000 to 4 grand. You start dropping beyond that when you get less than $1,000. Okay, so here you are. This is how the bank rating system works. I'm telling you, this is completely invaluable to you. If you get off this webinar and you get off this podcast, you go to look this up and you say, what's my bank rating? What's my bank credit score? You probably won't find any information about this on Google unless you happen to run into my information and videos that train on this. This is a secret that banks do not want out there, that you have an internal credit score. Do you understand why? It's so easy to manipulate. Once you know what the score is based on, your primary mission is to get as much money into that account as possible. And now that you know these marks, then it makes it easy for you to get the rating you actually want to get. And again, you can manipulate this because if you put a bunch of money in the account 3 days before you apply, you'll get what you want. Business owners should do whatever they can to keep at least 10 grand in there. The money should be kept there just to ensure the bank rating is high enough to increase financing future approvals. Each cycle is based on the balance rating during the previous 3-month period. So even if your bank rating was a low 4 the first quarter of this year, the second quarter you could still get it back up to a high 5 if you put money in there the last 3 months. So before a business decides to apply for credit, it should keep a balance rating of low 5 for the past 3 months. This isn't really even fair to say. If a business decides to apply for a business bank loan, if you're going to walk into Bank of America and apply for a loan, you're going to walk in and try to get an SBA loan, you need this. If you're getting alternative financing such as cash flow financing and collateral and asset-based loans like equipment financing and unsecured credit cards, business credit, none of this matters. But if you're getting a bank loan like an SBA loan, it does. So it's also essential that a business manages its bank account responsibly. This means a business should avoid writing non-sufficient funds checks. You don't want to overdraw the account. Okay, this is something that no business can let happen. It's even a good idea for the business to add a separate account with overdraft protection just to make sure that you don't have NSFs. This is a killer to your bank rating. Okay, it's also important that a business show a positive cash flow. The cash coming in and going out of a company's bank account should reflect a positive free cash flow. Positive cash flow is the amount of revenue left over after you've paid your bills. And when the account shows a positive cash flow, I have no idea what this says because I have a graphic in front of it. It indicates the business is generating more revenue than is used to run the company. So that just means that you have more coming in than you have going out. That's as simple as that. If you have $10,000 coming into your bank account in a month, then you really should have $9,999 or less. You have positive cash flow. If you have $10,000 coming in and $10,500 going out, you got a problem. Okay, it's important also to recognize that banks are motivated to lend to a business that has consistent deposits. So a business owner must make regular deposits into the bank account. It's vital that you make a lot of consistent deposits, more than withdrawals. Okay, so for example, cash flow based financing looks at this. They won't even lend you money unless like you have 8 to 10 transactions a month going into your business bank account. So if you don't have a lot of regular transactions, then that could mean that you eliminate the chance to get some loans. So on top of this having an adverse effect to your business bank rating, it also could adversely affect your ability to get loans like cash flow based financing. So you really don't want to do that. You've got to make sure that you have consistent deposits. So if you're a business that deals in cash, well, you don't want to wait and like only go to the bank once a week and save up all your cash. First of all, somebody could break into your store and steal your money. But secondly, you want to have business bank accounts regularly. So if you have $20 come in today, get to the bank and deposit the $20. You need to make sure you have as many consistent deposits as possible for lending purposes and for your bank rating. Bank credit is not only based on the monthly deposits, the other things we talked about, it's also based on the age of the account, how long you've had it open. Another reason that you need to open it soon after you open your entity, the bank products the business uses, okay, meaning what are you using from them? Are you using their CDs? Are you using their money market accounts? And any savings account or investments the bank has. So the more different types of accounts you have with the bank, the more money you have in all these different types of accounts, it matters. It doesn't just look at what's in that checking account. So a seasoned bank account shows stability and longevity. Okay, which is why you want to make sure you have it open as long as possible. Keeping a healthy and long-standing relationship with the bank is also crucial for all companies. This means you're using them for different kinds of accounts, putting money in other kinds of accounts. A good, stable relationship with the bank that reflects longevity is highly appreciated by lenders considering lending that business money. So when they see all these kind of things, you get a high bank rating, they want to lend you money. Okay. Your bank rating will be higher the more bank programs you use and maintain. So having investment savings accounts helps the bank rating. Even loans and CDs with your banks helps your bank rating. So bank ratings are higher than more bank investments and savings accounts you have. Having higher balances in those accounts also helps the bank rating, even if it's not your primary checking. And making regular deposits into all these type of accounts also helps your bank rating beyond just depositing a bunch of money all the time consistently into your checking account. So beyond just the bank rating, a business bank should also act as a trusted advisor that can assist in growing the business. It helps the business to consider working with a financial institution that specializes specializes in providing bank services to your specific industry. The more services that bank offers, the more you can take advantage of it and the higher the rating will be. Look, some banks just don't cater to certain industries. I had a credit repair company that I owned one point in time. I built it, sold it. And at the time I used Wachovia as my secondary bank account. I used Regions or Bank of America or Chase for my first, don't remember. But I set up Wachovia as a backup bank account in case anything ever happened to my primary bank account because my industry wasn't a favored industry. Wachovia shut down my bank account and returned all my money to me because I had the word credit in my name, and they said, we don't even deal with your industry. So it makes no sense for me to further a relationship with the bank that looks negatively on my industry. I would never even want to do that. So as a result, you need to look into this a little deeper because some banks really cater to some industries and not others. Then take advantage of all the services they offer, CDs, investment accounts, those type of things. And again, as I talked about, you want to open that in the bank account as soon as you open the entity, make consistent deposits, and ensure each month that you have good cash flow, positive going through the account, and good balances. Take these steps and you're going to have a good bank rating. You're also going to be able to set up a bank account the right way. And again, this exceptional bank rating means your business will have a great chance of being approved for bank financing, including loans, credit lines, and credit cards from your bank, not necessarily from outside of your bank, but it really increases and improves the chances of you getting money outside of your actual bank. So again, I tried to keep this short today. The whole purpose of this was to give you a bunch of information you needed, a shorter segment than an hour of what I usually do. My apology to you that I went about over 10 minutes over the estimated time. I figured this would be about 30, 40 minutes. It ended up being about 40 minutes. But hopefully you got a lot of good content out of the show today. You now know why you'd want to set up a business bank account, all the benefits that it provides you, how to set up a business bank account, pitfalls to look out for, like paying too much for checks. And you now know more than 99% of the population about your bank credit score. Most people don't even realize they have a bank credit score. Not only do you know you have one, you know all the ins and outs of what it consists of, what your rating is, how the rating works out, even what you can do to maximize and make sure you have the highest bank rating. And you even have that hack of knowing that it only looks at 90 days. It's for the last 90 days. So now you know that even if it's January and you plan on applying for financing in August, you still have time to get money in the bank account to make sure you have that balance as high as possible for the 90 days prior to you applying for the financing. So hopefully you got a lot of valuable information out of the show today. My goal is that you leave with at least one piece of information that you didn't know and things that are actionable. So I hope that you got that. If you have any other questions we can help you with here at Credit Suite, let us know. 877-600-2487 is our number, 877-600-2487. And you can email us info@creditsuite.com. That's creditsuite.com. And don't forget, you can get your free business credit building guide if you text the letters EIN to 855-982-1820. 855-982-1820. Thanks, everybody, very much for taking the time to attend this webinar. I hope everybody has a great day. Thanks, everybody.